vira, tum, não explica, tum, gruda e puxa, tum, repete, surta, vira, para, vira, bate. Mão aberta, cara dura, cai na risa absurda. Quem pergunta perde a vez, quem acompanha chega depois. Tudo torto combina aqui, se trava deixa fluir. Quando bate não discute, quem entende não explica.
Vira, vira, não explica. Gruda e puxa, repete, surta. Vira, vira, não explica. Se não entende, canta igual. Tuncha, vira o total.
Troca o passo, falha o plano, giro seco, corpo insano, riso curto, dente à mostra, cai no chão, levanta e volta, puxa forte, solta nada, fecha o olho, abre a cara, quando vê já tá no meio, todo eu, vira desejo.
Conta conta dois, se perdeu, então foi.
Tum, chá, vira, vira, tum, chá, não explica, tum.
Well, hello. Seems like we got a little bit of catching up to do. I haven't made a video here in, geez, probably 6 days, something like that. So here we are. We're going to do a little once-over, and I'll give you the heads up on to where we are now. We are at insulation in Building 2. It's actually all done. So we've got, in the background here, you can see the siders are actually out. So we've got sidings, about 30% of the way through on building 1, and I've got the insulation here is completely wrapped up at building 1 and building 2. We're going to pop in and check out building 1 because building 1 has drywall going on, so that's exciting. We actually, kind of an interesting story. We had some borders and some tapers actually lined up to do this one here. There's a guy that I used to work with when I was at a different company, and he said he'd love to quote do my buildings. I said sure. He'd done a bunch of smaller jobs for me before, and I said, yeah, you know what, that makes sense, sure, if you want to quote it, yeah, no big deal. And so I said, yeah, no problem. He didn't even give me a quote really, but I said, you know what, good guy, I really like him, and so I said, yeah, if you want to give it a shot, like, let's do it. And that ended up falling through. So he was a subcontractor for another larger drywall company, and it was actually a drywall company that I used to use when I was with this other builder, and I guess that drywall company actually thought that I tried to undercut him or something along those lines. I think he was insulted that I tried to use a sub-trade, which was not really the intent. It was just that I like this guy. He said that, hey, he'd like to do it when we were talking about it. And I said, yeah, sure, that makes sense. But anyway, that caused quite a bit of drama. And I'm not a drama guy. I don't like drama. Like, my life is complicated enough. But this one caused a little bit of drama with the other drywall company, which, fair enough. I guess to be, totally transparent, back in March, I'd actually asked them to quote this project. They said it wasn't far enough along. They didn't have the proper specs, and so they wouldn't quote it. And I said, okay, that's fine. Meanwhile, the insulating company that I use, I just had them quote it. They gave me a quote. I said, good. But I guess that kind of irked the drywall company. Great guy, really. I enjoyed working with him for a long time, but he didn't like that I'd gone out and gotten my own insulator. I think he was under the impression that I was going to use his insulator through him, but I'd known this guy for years, so I'd never even really considered that I would have them do the insulation as well. I was just going to piece it out side by side, so maybe there's just a bit of a miscommunication there. But I know that I don't like drama, and that caused a lot of drama. There was a lot of back and forth between myself and the owner of that drywall company, and it was disappointing, to say the least. I mean, I always like working with him. Really nice guy. I would have loved to actually work with them, but you know, I gave the other guy an opportunity because he asked for it, and people have been giving me opportunities my entire life. And so I mean, he asked if he could do it, and I said yeah, that's fine. And you know, it didn't work out. So anyways, long story short on that is that we have a different drywall company in here now. They picked up the ball real quick. We'll see how they do. I mean, the other guy, I know he's a great taper, like really a phenomenal taper. Couldn't speak highly enough about the guy either. He's a really nice guy, but I guess just something happened. So now he's not able to do the job, so I had to find somebody else to do it, and that's what I've done. But in any case, you know, kind of things move on. But I've enjoyed pretty thoroughly working with him, and then this new company is going to be pretty good too, actually, it seems. So I've got no complaints with the new company so far. I can't believe how fast they just jumped right onto it. It really didn't take them long. I got in touch with them. I said, hey, it's ready, it's loaded. And so here they are, it's Tuesday, and I think I called them on the Thursday or the Friday last week, and so now we've got borders in there, and by all means, I think I've lost, you know, probably have lost 3 or 4 days. But the benefit is I've actually gained a couple of days on building 2, because the way that it was going to work before is the drywallers that were going to do the board at my place, they were going to do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday schedule on building 1, and then they were going to come back and do the following weekend, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And in this case, now it seems like we're going to have, you know, borders just jump from building 1 straight to building 2, tapers in building 1, second crew building 2. So I'll actually catch up on building 2 by, you know, 3 or 4 days, but then I'll be a little bit faster on building 1. So yeah, all that to say, lots of good progress here. A little bit of drama. I don't care for that in my life, but you know, it is what it is. There's, you know, it's unfortunate. It's probably the best way to do it. But it took a bit of a personal toll, because it was a bit of a personal hit for me, and I didn't expect that. Nor you know, I was blindsided, actually, I think is probably the best way to put that, because yeah, I wasn't expecting it. And you know, in hindsight, and in fairness to this other person too, I could totally see how he sees it. Like if I asked him to quote and then, you know, subbed it out afterwards. Not that I ever got a quote, but yeah, it's interesting. So anyways, that's just part and parcel of doing the build sometimes, is sometimes things happen like that. It's unfortunate, but I mean, the reality is that you have to move on and you have to continue building. And so, I mean, we jumped into it right away, really, like I said, missing no time. Just such a disappointing thing when you see stuff like that. But I mean, thankfully it's rare. Thankfully it's super rare. I don't think I've ever really had a fallout like that before. And it wasn't even a bad one. It was just unfortunate. But anyway, so this is it. Building here is all insulated. We got, it's all cleaned out. So you can see what we do is, like, I'm going to show you here. It's very important to me to have a clean build. So you can see, like, even underneath the tubs, you know, in between wall spaces, you know, yeah, there might be some stuff, but like we vacuumed it out. It's totally unnecessary as far as like, does it matter? To me it does, you know, but it doesn't matter as far as like the build goes. I mean, if there was a little bit of sawdust inside the walls, doesn't change anything. But we've got back down in here, we put in some backing, and that's basically so that when your cold air return cover goes on, you've got a place to screw the cover onto. If you don't have any backing back there, it just spins and then the cover comes loose, and you know, we can fix it right now. So let's do it. Down in here, okay, so that's all spray foamed. Okay, got the foam, and then also it's the fire retardant that gets sprayed on top of the spray foam, and so that's in there. What else? Yeah, everything else is good. We got those are all covered up. Again, we missed it in one building getting covered up, but we're vacuuming them all out today. Try to keep your job site real clean. Like, I mean, that's what we do. That's not what every builder does, and I understand why. Especially as a production builder, you're going to get a case where, you know, geez, I managed like 65 houses at one time. Actually, that's not true. It was more than that at one time, but I think it was in the 70s. But you don't have time to go through and make sure every single one's done. Like, so this here, tubs are all cleaned out. I mean, they're not wiped down, but they are pretty clean. So happy to see that. Sprinkler system. So up here, this is our sprinklers. Those are very expensive. They were up, geez, I think I was $60K for those, for building 1, building 2, and the engineering and install. Yeah, I got some conversations to have about that one, but maybe I'll do that on another video. Building 1 is actually just a water curtain, and so basically that's just right in front of all the windows. Building 2 is the actual full system, so you can see it basically, I think, is any room that's over 55 square feet gets to have one. So I got another one here. You can see just in behind me. There's another one over there. And then down here, that's coming out of the wall there. So essentially it does two things. One, it keeps the water flowing because you're constantly using the toilet. And so it means that if your toilet's not filling up, your fire suppression system isn't working. So we're happy to see that that is all done. Everything's passed. Everything's moved forward to the next stage. I've got all the aluminum inside here for building 1, just to make sure that it doesn't get stolen over the break. Well, not over the break, but over the weekend. Inside here, this is kind of a neat one. So right here, this is a 1.5-inch PEX line. That's expensive. It's big. It's expensive. So thank you to Brian and Dave. Really big shout out to them. They came in clutch last minute and installed that. We when I went over the engineering for the sprinkler system again, it showed that their requirements were an 1.25-inch line, and there's like, that's not a thing. Well, it might be a thing, but it's not a thing in residential plumbing. So 1.5-inch line is what we had to use, the PEX line. Biggest problem from the plumbers telling me was the trying to find the tool. And so thanks everybody for working around us and getting that tool. Thanks again to the plumbers, they saved us. I needed this done before drywall, so I didn't have to rip anything apart. So they were, you know, I can't thank them enough. So they jumped onto it, got in here, wrapped it up. It probably was not easy, but you know, I thank both of them, you know, immensely for helping out, because it was required. So again, down there, some more fire suppression. We got a little bit of work going on downstairs here. Hey. So down in the basement, we're just doing the cleaning up on one of the units here. Also a little bit of back framing. So up top here, we've got the gas lines there. They're sticking out past the bulkhead because we did the bulkhead prior to the gas lines on this building. And there was just a gap of time in between. They did the first building, then we did the bulkheads there. Guys came in, did the bulkheads here right away too. I needed the bulkheads in on building 1 so that we could carry on with everything else. And anyway, now we're just doing a little bit more back framing and building it up. Couple other things we're going to do. We did this on building 1 already because drywall's in. As you can see down here, we've got, this is the cold air return. Cold air return is going to get awfully tight to our casing. So what we're going to do is shift that over a couple inches just to make sure that that we don't interfere with the casing and that we don't have like some odd little sliver of baseboard that goes in between, or a weird gap. So at least that way we know that it's going to work fine. What else did we do in here? Building 1, what we did is, see this here, the guys framed it on the flat. So this is just where the 2x4s are on the flat instead of on edge. So on edge is like this, and on the flat is like that. So we have to strengthen this one up because it's a little soft in the middle. Down over here, excuse the vacuum noise. So this here is a bolt that's required as per our engineer. but I interpreted it as actually just needing it 48 inches off the wall, when in fact what they need is it every 48 inches and against the wall. So we're gonna have to do that before they board. So I've got guys are gonna come out probably later on today, but maybe tomorrow morning, and just set anchors all the way through. Other thing up top here, so that LVL runs and sits on the foundation, okay? But when I had my engineering inspection, the guys couldn't see that because I had it spray foamed. So then, you know, I'm not a big fan of how they decided to do this, but they said, hey, put a double stud under it here because then it's got support. And I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, because it's not sitting on it. Plus, I don't have any structure that came in afterwards. Like, this is a structural component, right? It's like, that's the front landing. And they're saying just throw this in so, you know, I can say it's supported. And I'm like, well, there's a gap for one up top, right? And anyway, the whole thing's silly, so I have to track down from one of my old videos showing the construction where the LVL sits on top of the concrete. I mean, that one's silly to me. It's a silly thing, but neither here nor there. That's what they want. So we're going to make sure that the engineer is happy, because that's what you do. You make sure the engineers and the inspectors are happy. And so we're actually going to just send them the other pictures. And then that way I don't have to think about it again. I'll sign off on it, which is actually a requirement coming into the next schedule. So again, just this pipe here, we had to do it in 8 units. And so it was quite expensive. So I'm not a big fan of how that had to pan out, but it is what it is. Let's have a look here. Still not moved. So let's just have a look here. See how that's off center? Well, that's a problem for me, because that's going to annoy me like crazy. If I've got myself a straight line and I see something's off by a little bit, there's nothing more annoying than seeing like that, because it's just like, you could have fixed that. It was so easy. So anyway, that's something that we're going to adjust right now. We've already gone through all this. That's been on the list for my guy for over a week to go and adjust that. And he's over there vacuuming right now, so I'm going to tell him to get in here and make sure that's done before he goes home, because we're getting to that point where we can't waste any more time on it. But this one here is good. Let's hang on a second. I'm just going to pause this. Okay, so we're back. Oh, bunch of insulation dust kicking around in here. It's not my favorite. Let's go running around. Woo, fresh air. Okay. So we ended up, I'll just do a quick run around on the side here as well. We've got ATCO coming in. So all those meters are on there. Well, not the meters, sorry, but the gas lines popped out. Got something for it to be anchored to. We've got our risers in now. And then if I come down this way, I'm just going to walk with you this way for a sec. Everything's all backfilled trench-wise. This is our second one, right in there. And then the other riser. So we have to get this one here on, which means today I have to crack those off, get them to put the backer board on, send a picture off to ATCO. They'll put me into the queue for the meters. And then once that's all done, I can get rid of all these propane pigs. They're expensive. They're like $1,000 every 3-4 days. Depends on the weather, but stupid expensive. And I really don't like paying for that. So let's go in. We'll have a quick look at the board. Next door. So this one here, yeah, you can see board is all loaded. Okay, this is how we're actually turning this over to the borders. So you can see it's quite clean. You know, heat down at the back. We got some acoustical sealant that's left over from our other jobs. Well, not our other jobs, but our other portion of the job, meaning in this case the framing, which yeah. They needed to put more acoustical sealant under the bottom plates. I had tons of frost build up under there, so I had to do some corrective action. But real simple at framing time, put the acoustical sealant on the bottom plate, blocks off any sort of cold transfer. So this here, that board fits straight through there. That's called your drywall access. So you essentially leave that open, not open, but it's closed off, but it's built so that they can ship the drywall, and it actually gets loaded straight through here. And in this case, it went straight through there. I'd probably do it this spot. See that one there? That's actually the joist space it probably should have been instead of over there, because like, how do you run that? At least this one could have run straight down the hall. So that's one of those things where, you know, I should have noticed that beforehand, but I didn't. Work smarter, not harder, you know. But anyway, coming through here. Oh, she's bright. I wonder if I can see my drone. I lost a drone up in the tree there a little while ago, and I've been looking for it ever since. Again, in here, you know, keep them all clean, keep them all tidied up. This whole thing, it's all vacuumed out, cleaned up. One of the other items that we had up top, I'm going to show you here. I'm going to switch. So up in there, you see this piece of 2x4 that runs across. That's a truss brace. Okay, and it was hanging free over here, so they asked us to put in some solid backing so that it had something to grab on. So that was done this morning, but unfortunately it wasn't done before my engineer inspection. So now he's gonna have to come back, and then presumably there's a $1,000 fee for that. So, you know, those little things are quite disappointing, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna sneak in here, guys. I'm gonna turn this around. So the board is now up, you know, or at least starting. So it's looking great. I'm just gonna go on down here. So things get a little bit messier when they're doing this. It's just the nature of it. But we got some board up now. Things are looking good. And you can see this bulkhead, just that height. So, I mean, still pretty tall. I haven't touched it yet. I got like another 8 inches or so, but it's not as high as this ceiling for sure. But not bad. So, let's pop outside. We'll do a run around and see what she looks like. Okay. We got up top there. Guys are nice and safe. They got the net, and then they've got their end guards up top, which is awesome. Side of the building's really coming along. They probably have this one wrapped up today, is my guess. And that's kind of all you can ask for. Looking great. Color scheme's pretty good. We got off to a bit of a rougher start on the siding. One of the panels was kind of cockeyed, and they just sort of carried on with it. But I called it out a little bit, just as, you know, as you do. You're a supervisor. You got to make sure that your building's as you set your standards. And so they ended up coming back and doing that. They just pulled it off, redid it, and now I haven't seen any issues since. So that's awesome. We've got down over here. This was where they dug up the alley to run that gas line all the way down there. And I mean, realistically, this thing is coming along so smooth. We had that hiccup with the drywaller and the taper, but you know, that's just the nature of the business. You're dealing with a project of this size, you're bound to have a couple of little hiccups here and there. Engineering right now, that's it's a silly one, frankly. That's my fault for interpreting it incorrectly. The bolting pattern that they wanted on our party wall, not just being a 48 inches, but being every 48 inches. So it is what it is. But yeah, these are coming along nice. We're very happy to kind of see that that we're now at the stage where we're going to be taping here. Geez, on that front building, it'll be on Thursday. And then I'm going to load this one here right away as well. I've got inside this one, This was one unit where it's the only unit where this happened, but I've got excessive moisture up here. So I have opened up all the windows. You can see up there, you see the moisture. So that happens sometimes. It's not ideal, but as long as you mitigate it before you put your drywall up, otherwise drywall gets wet and not great. But watch, I'll show you what I mean. So let's see. I've opened up all the windows just to get rid of the humidity, but you can see the buildup here. That's from using wet heat. What wet heat is like propane or natural gas that's directed with their exhaust back into the house. We have dry heaters on the front one, but that's the boiler system. Back in here, we still needed to have heat, but we were trying to find that balance of getting heat, but trying not to build up moisture. This is the only one where we had the issue. There's literally no issue with this as long as it's dry before you put the drywall on. It's just condensation built up on top of the poly. So it's not my favorite thing, but you know, it is what it is. So otherwise, that's good. Hope you guys have followed along for the last little bit. Sorry it's been so long. Hopefully this 25-minute video is kind of giving you an update as to where it's at. We've got, a new employee, part-time. And then we've got, what else? Another part-time employee, but he's mainly, he's a student from SAIT doing project management, just wants to kind of learn the ropes and things like that. And I thought, oh, that's a good contribution. I can kind of give back. So he's just going to work weekends, and I'll have him out here doing some stuff and then doing some training on the development side and things like that. So hopefully that works out for him. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching.
Não explica, gruda e puxa, repete, surta, vira, para, vira, bate.